change does not take a long time to do. It actually happens in an instant when you have the leverage to create that change. For example, people in painful relationships who know they should take different action, but they don't until something happens, and all of a sudden the lever is actually pulled, right?
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the compelling convo I had with another Brad. This is Brad Bizjack in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that one, you did not get your life spiced up. You did not get extra dose of energy. You need to. You have to go back.
You're officially missing out.
So you listen to us talk about him and then go listen to that one, but you can't skip that one.
Cannot skip it.
No.
It's a great interview, a great episode. Brad Bizjack is very educated on emotional maturity.
I think that's a good way of discussing it. Yeah.
And he explains in his programs, which Lesley and I have been students of, how we have connected the dots on things in a way that puts undue pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So like success or security or all these amazing things that like we want and need and desire. But then what is if we haven't laid it out properly, we end up feeling scared or afraid or like a lot of pressure and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why his conversation was very compelling, because he also uses amazing
acronyms.
Not acronyms.
Examples.
Yeah, examples and quips, like short statements that are very thought-provoking.
Yes.
Loved it.
Yes.
Like, fantastic.
No notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into that in a second. But first, today is October 16th, National Spirit Day. Spirit Day is an annual observance that takes place on the third Thursday in October, and it's on October 16th this year. This day aims to create awareness for the bullying and harassment that the LGBTQ community faces. Millions of people worldwide identify as queer, and many more are yet to publicly declare their status. Such a large community of people shouldn't be alienated or marginalized just because of their sexual orientation, but the reality, sadly, is that they are. All over the world, LGBTQ youth suffer harassment because of their identity. There is also a need for transgender individuals to have more protected rights. And so, taking some time today to just see what's going on in your community and how you can support. I would even look up the people who are wanting, especially if you're in a country where you can vote, look who's saying terrible things about these people and don't vote for them, period. Because here is the deal. It's not going to stop with them. It won't stop with them. If they take away all the rights of LGBTQ where you live, they're not going to be like, now we have the power we want. No, yeah, they'll come for someone next.
But it didn't start with them. That's the thing.
No.
And I think that's it's a misnomer that like, oh, wow, they're a huge problem. No, they're only a huge problem because they're the current topic of conversation, and the problem is being it's being created in a way that it's not real.
It's not real.
Right? So they're making it a problem. They're pretending that it's a problem because they need somebody to alienate.
Yeah, someone has to be the thing that we all fear. And look, the word homosexual was not in the Bible till 1946. Interesting, because I thought that was a work of words that's been around for thousands of years, right? So it was put in there to make you scared, to make you conform. And then in the 80s, they used the AIDS epidemic to get you scared and afraid of people and not even wanting to hug people. And now they want to make us all worried about the fucking sports. No one gave a rat's ass about women's sports until trans. And there's like 10 people in the NCAA sports that are trans. And there was a swimmer who was asked, like, are you worried about trans women in sports? She was like, no, I'm worried about Republicans becoming Nazis. And I loved that quip. I loved it because the reality is that like they're trying, all of this is to scare you that there's someone different than you that is trying to take something away from you.
Yeah.
And the reality is that like bullying is rampant amongst everything. There is I get bullying of I don't look this enough. I look too much of this. Everyone has it, but the reality is that there's a community that's getting it more right now, and it is dangerous. It is dangerous because we know that bullying costs lives. People, especially youth, will take their own lives. And so
it's dangerous on multiple levels. It's dangerous. There's an immediate danger, right? And that immediate danger is for people who are in the community that is being targeted. And currently what we're talking about is the LGBTQ community. But that's the immediate danger. And then the long-term danger is societally.
Yeah.
Right? Because they aren't going to, somehow like it's not going to stop with this community when the public perception is finally like, actually, we don't agree with you. Okay, then they're like, oh, well, there's another community we need to be worried about, and they're just going to shift over to another community. They've done it. They've done it over and over and over and over again.
They always do. It was the witches before this, which was just another word for women. And so I bring not to bring it all down because we're going to bring it back up again in just a second. But like, you have agency here. You can call your congressperson. You can make sure that the school is taking action. You can also educate yourself in case you have family members who are upset about it. Like, there are ways to actually be in curiosity and ask the right questions that help them understand, find out what are they afraid of? What are they so afraid of? And then we have to just also start loving more, because the other thing is that we just start getting mad at homophobic people, and that puts hate in our heart, and it doesn't make us any better than them. And so anyways, go observe Spirit Day. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. We've announced the OPC tour, opc.me/tour, so you can see all the dates. I would list all the cities off for you, but I don't have them today while we're recording this. So they're up now, though. They've been up for a couple of weeks, and you want to grab your spot. If you have any questions, let us know. But all workshops and workouts are for any lover of Pilates, new to very experienced. And there are CECs. Balance Body is our sponsor. We are so, so excited about it. We're getting closer to you needing to be on that wait list for Cambodia, because in January, you're going to get the email that says, hey, you want to get a discount on this? You're the only person who gets it if you're on the wait list.
Yeah,
we're
actually,
in Cambodia right now.
Lesley and I are currently in Cambodia hosting a second retreat this year. Next year, we will only be having one retreat to Cambodia, and it will be in the fall, in October of next year, right? So if you want to be one of the group of people that can come, because it is limited, you got to be on the wait list. Go to lesleylogan.co/retreats. That's plural, to get yourself on the wait list. You can find out all more information on crowsnestretreats.com. But we will be making an announcement here soon in January about the early bird special. So stay prepared for that.
Even if you hear it here, you still have to have the link in the email. So get on the wait list.
Yeah.
In a couple of days, we're going to be in Singapore teaching a private event and finally seeing the botanical gardens. We're so, so excited about it.
I'm so fired up about that.
We've seen them from like a high up view, but we haven't actually been in them. And then, of course, we'll be on our winter tour. So that'll be 5 weeks long, almost like 5 weeks long. And then we come home to unpack, and then we go to Huntington Beach to the Pilates Journal Expo, xxll.co/Pilates Journal. We'll get you links. We'll get you a link to the tickets.
Yeah, go to xxll.co/Pilates Journal.
There's a ton of people who are going to be there. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be like a reunion for me and some of these friends. So I can't wait. And so you should come. And then in March, we're doing the Poland Contrology Pilates Conference. So Karen Frischman and I are back in Wrocław. Sorry, my Polish peeps, if I said that wrong. People try to teach you Wrocław, which is not it. It is not even close. But it's easier to say. It's like, well, that's not the name of your town. So we'll be there teaching a conference together. And then from there.
So go to xxll.co/Poland. Yeah.
And then Karen, Brad, and I are going to do through Europe until the following weekend. We'll be in Brussels, xxll.co/Brussels.
What do you think? Weigh in here. Should we be saying xxll.co, or should we be saying xxll.co? What do you think?
XXLL.
xxll.co?
No, that's too hard.
xxll.co.
Because people might actually type in double.
They might.
Our listeners would.
But IKYKY.
Yeah, but people say that. No one says,
XXL.co.
yeah.
I'm making it a thing.
No, xxll.co/Brussels. I let you make OPC a thing. No, this
Okay.
is xll.co, or it should be xxll.co.
Yeah.
Maybe not saying the CO, because the problem is it just sounds like too many letters and then I get overwhelmed. So at any rate, it's also in the show notes. You can just click it. Brussels. These are both in March. And then in April, we'll be at POT in London.
Woo! Looking forward to that.
All
Can't
right.
wait to be back.
We had an incredible question that was really fun and like got us all chatting in the studio in between classes, Brad. So I thought I would bring the attendees from Essex question because I just thought, let's talk about this now.
That's so fun. Okay. The question was, what non-Pilates books do you read?
A lot.
Okay.
I don't read very many Pilates books anymore. I mean, there's only a couple good ones. So, okay.
So let's talk about it. Do you prefer a specific type of genre of non-Pilates books?
I love a good popcorn book. You know, a popcorn for your brain book. That's how my friend Sue and I talk about it. Like,
okay, what does that mean?
You read the book and you get lost, and like it is not going to change the world. It's definitely not going to change your life. You can almost consume the book in like 2 or 3 days. It doesn't change your intelligence in any way, but it's like a little popcorn for your brain. The book that would signify that is like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That author, so good. That book, I read it in 2 days. I was like, I never have time to read. Read it in 2 days. I have fucking plenty of time to read if I like the book. So I like that kind of genre. Like a rom-com type book is like my go-to. But you and I are really into the Empyrean series. And
we sure are.
So I shared with this group. I said, "Oh, I'm deep in the Imperium series because it's like a great way to like get lost in something." And the girls were like, "The Fourth Wing," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." And they were like, "Okay, I've heard it's really good." So it's only making its way to the UK right now. At any rate,
the Empyrean.
Yeah. So
Rebecca
Saros.
Yeah. No, Yaros.
Rebecca
Yaros. Yeah,
Rebecca
that's
Yaros.
a fun one.
But get this. So Yasmin, she posted a picture and tagged me with The Fourth Wing and Tiny Habits.
Okay.
And she said, my recommended reading. And I was like, never has anyone ever put those 2 books in the same like recommended reading section for sure. So I shared it and someone else was like, oh, are you reading that series? I said, oh, I definitely am. And I recommend it all the time. And I got a recommendation for another series that's really good. So I haven't read it yet, so I can't tell you about it. But it's really quite fun to see how many people are in the Empyrean series. People are into it. It's very, very good. Look, it's like, what is it like called? Romantic fantasy? Or it's like, what's the genre? Because it's fantasy, but it's not, you don't read it with your kids. So it's got to have like another letter, another word. So while he's looking that up, they
call it new adult fantasy romance or military fantasy.
That's
the genre.
I would call it adult fantasy. That's what I would put under. And it's great. I really, really like it. It's from a female like hero perspective. And
they call it romantasy.
Romantasy. That's good. That's romantasy. Other books I recommend that are non-Pilates. Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. Obviously, we said Tiny Habits, The Big Leap. You're never getting out of that one. That one's a must read every year. And I think we have some authors who had some books come out. Wendy Valentine had a book come out, The Midlife something. And Dr. Celeste had her book come out on like missionary position. So I would say like if I've had an author on the pod with a book, I've probably read their book. Or if their book's not out yet, I read it afterwards. And I love those people so much. Of course, I'm going to love their book. But I also recommend if you're always reading business books, you got to get into the romantasy. You do. You got to get lost in something. Life is too serious. So anyways, those are my non-Pilates books that I can recommend to you right now.
Okay. I have gotten into a new author.
Okay.
Recently. His name is Edward W. Robertson.
Why does he need a W? His last name is so long.
He has written 73 books.
There's 73 books in the series?
He's written multiple series about different things, but I have read 14 books of his so far. Oh, there's a whole nother one. No, I've read 17 books of his. So I've read the cycles. He's got 3 cycles. Cycles of Galland, Aran, and Scour. And basically, they are perfectly in line with the other books I've talked about over the years on this pod. They are definitely fantasy.
Like Wheel of Time.
Right. That's Robert Jordan. And there's another author I'm a big fan of, Michael J. what's his last name? Sullivan, Michael J. Sullivan. But this is Edward W. Robertson. And what I really enjoyed about this was he's also created his own, dynamic duo of these, unlikely heroes. They're kids in this. They start off in their late teens and they, end up becoming major players on the world stage over the, length of these 10 books in the one series. The one cycle series is kind of the precursor to it. Another one is a double precursor to it. So he started off
I'm going to tell you overwhelmed people when you said 14 books in the series. So
kind of 17.
Like,
Sorry.
yeah.
Just listen to them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not even about that. It's not about finishing them. There's just something really enjoyable about them. I think I went through them in like 6 or 8 months because they're shorter than the Wheel of Time stuff.
Well, there you go. And so there are your books. You guys get lost in a book. I promise you, it makes
you're gonna love it.
It's so much more fun. You're a different person on the other side. Okay, and also if you don't want to spend money on it, go to your public library and get a library card. You can actually get audiobooks and iPad books through your local library. Okay.
Yes, you can. If you have any questions for us, you should text them to us. Text them at 310-905-5534, or you can send them in through beitpod.com/questions, beitpod.com/questions, where you can leave a win or a question, and
leave me some wins.
They may end up on the pod.
I want to share them on the pod. Okay, let's talk about Brad Bizjack.
Well, stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about Brad Bizjack, and we're going to be reinvigorated by his enthusiasm for life. The guy is just amazing. So can't wait. Stick around. Welcome back. Let's talk about Brad Bizjack. Brad is a personal development expert and coach who helps people rewire limiting beliefs, toxic thought patterns, and emotional blocks that have been holding them back from success and the fulfillment that they deserve. After starting his career buried in $92,000 worth of debt and struggling for years to get his business off the ground, Brad discovered the power of shifting identity and mindset. Today, he has built a multi-million-dollar business, served over 70,000 people worldwide, and teaches others how to break free from perfectionism, procrastination, and fear so they can step fully into their potential. And I gotta say, there's nothing more beit than the things that he's teaching. It's amazing when you dig in. And Lesley and I we have gone through 2 of his programs.
Yeah, he's got a program starting next week. So
literally next week.
Yeah,
and it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, you should totally do his
5 days.
Free program.
5 days.
We started there, and
it's like happens in the morning for us. So obviously, if you're not in Pacific, it's not early morning. It's going to be some other time. But it was really nice to start in the morning. We'd go for a dog walk, and just be like lit up on this dog walk, and you're like, yeah, I'm ready. And anything you say like, oh, I don't know. Or I got this, I can't do it. I'm stuck. I won't know how to do it. Well, he really kind of like breaks down like some of these stories we tell ourselves. And one of the things he says is like, when you know what you want and why you want it, the how reveals itself.
Yeah.
When you know what you want and why you want it, the how reveals itself. And
yeah, because I think that's
I think most people don't know why.
But I think the easiest thing for people to get stuck on is, well, how am I going to do that? I might as well not even try.
Right. But also I think they know one of the two, but not both. Like they know why they want to do something, or they know what they want to do, but they don't know both. And their why is so superficial. Well, because I want to make money. And it's like, okay, but why do you want to make money? Like, you got to like, why do you want to do it? Like, I told the story in the UK about like why I love to teach Pilates, like what my mission is. Why is my mission this? And then Linda was like, can you repeat that? And it was like really cute. It was a long story, but the whole thing is like, I'm so passionate about what that is. It makes it, the how does reveal itself because opportunities come up.
Yeah.
Or like people say something and you're like, wait a minute, that is an entirely different industry, but I could do it. Like the how reveals it. Our tours happen because we knew what we wanted to do. We knew why we wanted to do it. And then this person over here is like, I want to go on a book tour. I'm like, how can we go on a book tour? Right. So like, I really, really love that. And then we talked about like, he believes we get so caught up in seeking the how, but struggle to take action. And so it's just procrastination in disguise. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he said this occurs because of overvaluing certainty. And
this was like a mic drop, the overvaluing of certainty, what that is, that's actually like, we think that having certainty is going to help us move forward, but when before we get to the place where we feel certain, we get stuck.
Or he said, like, we take little actions because we're very certain we can do those little things, but we don't take the big actions because we don't know what's going to happen with those. We don't know how that's going to play out or what the outcome will be. So we're like, oh, I'm just going to keep checking the box, checked my email, responded to these people, posted on social, but no one's actually like, okay, I'm going to do a class. I'm going to do Pilates and Pinot, like at the bar, like, because you're like, what if no one comes? Like, I need to make sure everyone's going to be there. I think if certain. And oh my God, when we study with him, we did this 5-day series that you can do next week. We did it a couple years ago. And when he told me about certainty and perfectionism, I fucking was like, I felt so called out. I was like, oh my God, this is my problem. I was like a recovering perfectionist, but then I like let certainty in there, and certainty is just perfection in disguise. So anyways, I really love this man so much. And he said, we base our worth on external success, leading to a feeling of burnout or that nothing feels like enough. And I think this happens a lot. In fact, on an OPC call today, one of the girls who's going through a teacher training said that she feels like burnt out on Pilates, and, she's doing this thing. And we were talking about how, like, because when you're in a training program, there's a lot of corrections, like the teachers are correcting you a lot because they want you to know all the things. They don't want you going off thinking you're perfect at it. They want you to know how to do it. You thinking you have all these cues, and really it's all this external success. Like, okay, when I look like the 100, I have made it, versus this internalization of like the Pilates practice. Like, the focus in a teacher training is so external. What does the exercise look like? Can you do it well? That you end up feeling burnt out and like nothing's ever enough. Like, you're not good enough to do this. And so this just happened an hour before we hit the record on this. And I feel this so much because we're like waiting for someone to validate who we are and what we're doing instead of ourselves, like an internal version of like what success is. I love this.
So just so that y'all know, we actually have an invitation for you to join Brad's program, the 5-day program for free. It's called the Success Accelerator, and it starts in just a few days.
It's on the 20th. Yeah. So this is Thursday. It's going to start on Monday.
The link's in the show notes, but you can go to beitpod.com/success. And like I said, it's free. Lesley and I did this program, and it was really, really impactful for us.
Well, what did you like that he said?
Yeah. So Brad said, I love that you had to clarify Brad husband versus Brad Bizjack on the call. I was laughing.
I know, because I think I told a story and I was like, my Brad husband.
Yeah. Brad said, hey, change does not take a long time to do. It actually happens in an instant when you have the leverage to create that change. For example, people in painful relationships who know they should take different action, but they don't until something happens, and all of a sudden the lever is actually pulled, right? That leverage comes from changing at a higher, more fundamental level than just behaviors or capabilities. You can say when you have to change, when you are forced to change, right? And I think it's interesting that's actually where lasting change comes, above the line of lasting change. I don't know why. Basically.
Oh, it's because like people often like change and they do a little thing and they go back. They like, it's like there's a line and like you got to cross the line and it will, and people think, oh, it's going to take forever to make this change. Like, it's going to take forever to create a habit. And so they think it's going to take forever to create a habit, and they do it for 2 days and they end up on the other side of not having the habit. And then they have a couple of days of the habit, and then and it's actually like, no, if you know what you want, why you want it, and you make the decision to change, you can actually change it because it's an emotional thing in your brain that does this.
Yeah, I've personally experienced this kind of requirement for change, this must change or bad things will happen, when it came to smoking cigarettes. And everyone talks about how addicting, nicotine is, and they're not wrong, because unless you absolutely have to change, you probably won't, because it is addicting and it will pull you back in. But I was singing and I was in a band and I was smoking cigarettes, and I remember being on stage coughing into the mic because I couldn't sing my own songs that I had written. And it became immediately clear that day, I have to choose, do I want to keep smoking or do I want to keep singing? And that was like so easy to decide because I was like, well, I love singing. I love being in a band. So therefore, goodbye smoking, you are gone. And that was it. That was like the moment of I made it above the line of lasting change. And also too, sure, did I still have these moments of like, like habit of like when I used to, where I would be smoking on the car ride into the office or whatever, where it was just a regular consistent thing and I was missing that. Yes. But because it was like an easy thing to know, I actually want to sing. I want to sing more than I want to smoke. In those moments of trial, it was still easy for me to fall back on the decision I had made because it was an emotional decision. I was terrified of the idea that I wouldn't be able to perform,
Mm-hmm.
So, there is like this moment of have to do that will bring about that change.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I think that goes back to like, you knew what you wanted and why you wanted it. And that made it the how easier.
I knew what and I knew why. And then so the how involved not smoking. And
Right.
that's what made it easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great callback there. I love that. So
We
yeah,
love a callback.
we love a callback. Yeah, that was impactful for me. And these are the kinds of things that Brad addresses, on the 5 days. So, definitely go check
I
that out.
just think that like if you were lit up at all by his episode, why not? It's free. There's replays. Like, why wouldn't, even if you watch one day of his stuff next week, you're going to learn something about yourself that's going to change your life. I still think about like the things that we learned in those 5 days, even if we didn't pay for the program. Like I still like I was forced to like level up in a way. Like I was like, it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, the Success Accelerator. And then we went on to do another program of his called Rewired after. But
Yeah.
the Success Accelerator was absolutely worth it. And yeah.
Especially if you just like if you just have a hard time not talking yourself down, you need someone in your ear who talks you up. You just do. Anyways, we got to get into the Be It action item.
Yeah. Okay. Stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to dig into these epic Be It action items from Brad Bizjack. We'll be right back. All right. Finally, let's talk about those Be It action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Brad Bizjack? I'm going to jump in first here. He said he shared 3 primary ways to shift any belief pattern. And these are the things where I was talking about the have to do. So it was really interesting. He said you can introduce the idea of doubt, you can introduce pain, or you can introduce vision, right? And I think that vision is probably the easiest to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? That's the one that we...
Also feels more positive.
It does feel more positive. But doubt is something that will challenge a worldview, right? When you have doubt or when doubt is introduced, it really does start to make you analytical, analyze the thing that you might be doubting, whether that is the way you were raised or we've always done it this way, or this is the quote unquote right way to do it or the right thing to do. Maybe there are other things that, that cause doubt. He suggested looking for evidence that challenges those beliefs. For example, if you think money is super hard to make, you can ask yourself the question, but is that true for everyone? Some people have the golden touch, as it were, right? We've all heard that expression. Well, if money isn't hard to make for them, why? How come it's easy for them but difficult for me? Quote unquote difficult for me, right? Maybe that's the story I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we change that belief since we have evidence that other people have been able to do it? All right, so that's an interesting idea of introducing the concept of doubt. 2, pain. He said, if you can see the consequences of what happens if you don't change and actually live those consequences in your mind, you will start to change. This was my lived experience. Pain, okay. Right? I did not want the pain of not being able to perform, not being able to sing. And I could see a life that I did not want if I kept going down the path that I was going out when it came to cigarettes, right? He used the Christmas Carol story as an example for this. Scrooge didn't want to make unbearable pain, didn't want to make change until unbearable pain was linked to staying the same, right? Yeah. That's the Christmas story. Vision. Finally, he explained that your beliefs shift when we create a vision that is vivid enough to excite us into new action, right? So like this is where a dream board can come into play, or, vision casting, or, reflection, or taking a moment to yourself to dwell on what the future could look like for you. That can be motivating enough to create lasting change to put you above that line of change. He said, when we can be compelled by a beautiful vision of the future, it gives us a reason to overcome procrastination or whatever it is that's holding us back, right? So I loved that. I thought that was actually, I mean, these are the kinds of things that he just blows by, and why we wanted to talk about him again, because I listened to it and I was like, whoa, that was a lot right there. That was probably like, he probably studied for like 6 to 12 months to be able to concisely say that in 2 sentences or 3 sentences. And you were like, there's so much in there. We kind of have to break this down. This, when you're, when you listen back to the pod, there's so many snippets like that where you're like, whoa, that was profound. Whoa, that was deep. Whoa, that was really worth listening to twice. What about you though? What was one of your biggest takeaways?
So you have to be compelled by a beautiful vision of the future. Like, you really do have to take that. That's why I like to do our retreats. I like to do some breath work and like actually think about a year from now. But you need a beautiful vision of the future because that's so compelling. And he also said, otherwise you'll default to focusing on the past and the present. And people do this a lot.
Sure.
And it's why you're not actually seeing change, because the past and the present don't. That's done. And if you keep repeating it, you just get to keep repeating them. But it often becomes more painful because you liked part of it, or we didn't like it at all. And like now here you're feeling a little stuck. He also, his bold advice is to have unreasonable dreams.
Unreasonable.
Unreasonable. And it's really hard for my brain to do unreasonable dreams. It's extremely hard, but also like it does force you to think about how you're going to achieve that in a different way. Because it's so easy to go back to what we talked about, that itty bitty stuff.
Yeah.
And like thinking it's going to make a big difference when really it's just keeping you the same. You kind of have to have an unreasonable dream because it helps you take bigger action. And then he said, taking full responsibility for making that happen. And taking full responsibility for making that happen.
Wait, say that one more time.
Taking full responsibility for making that happen.
Yeah.
Whenever I do my schedule workshop or my habits workshop, the amount of people that are responsible for the reason why someone can't go for a walk in the morning.
Oh, you mean the amount of excuses / other people are the problem.
Other people are the problem.
Not the person who's...
Yeah, not the person who has allowed people to take advantage of them, or they've been doing too much for other people, or they simply just didn't have like the vision in place to take the act. It's okay. It's okay to have gone like, oh my God, I never realized I wanted to do that. And I haven't been making time for that. Like, it's okay. You didn't, when you know better, you do better. So now you just got to take full responsibility for making that happen.
Yeah. I love that. I love this is step 3, or the third, way to create change, with the vision casting, and I think it's scary to dream big in that way, to have an unreasonable dream. It can be really scary because, this is part of my story on our business, why we, when you don't dream big, what you're actually doing is you're giving yourself an out to fail and be satisfied with the results of the fail. And that's where I think the problem is. I think it's important to fail. You must fail.
Yeah.
Right? But we associate failure with mediocrity and pain. Yeah. Right? Instead of learning knowledge and a step further along the path towards success.
Yeah.
When we associate failure with pain and mediocrity, it's easier not to have a vision for the future, because then you can't experience that quote unquote pain. Right. And I know I did this because I would leave myself an out and say things like, it'll be nice if that ever happened for us, but then it's like, I would love for that to happen for us, but there's an inherent comma. But if it doesn't, I guess it's okay. I guess it was meant to be that this, it wasn't in the cards,
right time. Yeah.
Whatever it is, the phrase that we want to insert there. And the reality is, it's not until you go, but even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, or if it doesn't, the failure will happen along this path, I'm going to persist until I get to that place.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think a lot of people weren't given the opportunity to fail. That's not the world that most of us went to school under. You had to pass. And if you didn't pass, you were like, it was not okay. So like, I think if you are having a hard time having an unreasonable goal or failing, then you must go to beitpod.com/success, because you are going to hear that even Brad hasn't hit a single goal in 6 months or 6 years, I think. 6 years. 6 years. He hasn't hit a single goal. Maybe it's 8 now at this point since we met. And it's not because he hasn't tried hard or had great success. It's because he sets unreasonable goals for himself to make himself work harder than the last time. And then they reflect upon what they why they maybe didn't hit those goals, but what they did do. And it's just really, really cool. So beitpod.com/success. Go take it. Go re-listen to the episode. Get fired up. Let us know if you sign up for this program.
We want to know. We'll
probably even see you there.
Yeah, I think we're going to do it too.
Yeah, I love the classes. So at any rate, you're amazing. Brad's amazing. Share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Share it with 3 friends. Guess what? Your friends change. It makes it easier for you to change. And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at beitpod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the Epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.